games.
I want to see more in the early game. We didn't see the hot drop, the fast starts that we expected. Remember, it's a race to 350 at the end of the day, so I want to see teams really fight and push to get there.
Yeah, no, honestly, I do want to see a bit of a redemption for some of the top NA teams, especially Rapid and Cold, right? They were a team that, in their group, absolutely blew the competition away. I want to see them find their footing in this competition and really start to push their way to the top.
Yeah, Cold and Rapid, definitely a high elimination team, having some of the best damage ratios in the world, and representing Twisted Minds. I definitely think we all expected a little bit more of them, but that was just game number one. A lot of these teams haven't been able to compete against each other in a set lobby, so obviously there's definitely going to be some growing pains, some learning, and with it just being game one, number one, Monster, I think there's still so much more to go for our NA teams.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're off to a slow start. The practice games are looking extremely promising, though. I even had, you know, to go and give shouts to Peter Boyo stepping up there. You know, I believe the group stage B, we didn't get those exact warm-up rounds that the players might have been looking for, but I think they're coming in pretty hot. And at the end of the day, hey, it's game one, water under the bridge, as they say, dirt under the rug. I'm gonna go ahead and do that one, just to kind of toss it in there.
All right, everyone, that was just game number one. Swizzy Pixie coming out on top, but of course, we still have so many more games to go. Who's gonna come out on top? We're gonna have to find out right after this.
Luti, we are one map in.
Yeah.
What a start to the day. That was probably our best opening intro so
Yeah,
far.
indeed. For the finals, like for the grand finals, people were getting crazy for every team. I mean, the French audience, it is really something, you know?
Yeah, the French audience is incredible. You guys are amazing, but of course, we also have audience from all over the world.
Yeah.
Audience from like Asia, South America.
Yeah.
And speaking of South America, speaking of LATAM,
it is
this incredible region, it's Leviathan.
They have this?
Oh, they're incredible dragon here. Lucas, let's have a very quick chat, my friend. Look, what's the experience been like so far at EWC for you guys, for Leviathan?
It's been insane, to be honest. We came here with RQ fans, so overall this crowd is amazing. I love France, so insane.
We'll talk a bit more specifically about Fortnite as well. The boys are on stage. They came second in that last map. Now, how proud are you guys of seeing them perform this well in the final?
Nah, they are really young. I'm really proud. Obviously, it's really hard to play a LAN event, so I hope we keep this path and hopefully get a win.
If those of you at home have a keen eye as well, you might also remember this face because you actually competed in the Fortnite World Cup all those years ago. How was that experience?
It was really good. I got to coach my player, which was Prisionero back in the day. So hopefully he sees this and he remembers. And we also played against Buga, so hopefully he doesn't win this time.
Okay. If you, just before I let you go, if you could say anything, words of encouragement for the boys competing for Lua and Romero right now, what would you say to them?
I think it's all about confidence. I think this crowd will support them, hopefully. So, vamos Leviathan!
There we go. That's Leviathan right here on the main stage. The Gadia City Grid has got so much more Fortnite action to come. So, casters, over to you.
Mesdames et messieurs, faites du bruit!
So much love all across the board. You absolutely love to see it, but one thing that is impossible to ignore for sure, Jacob, is the amount of French love overall. It is just emitting every single time we see either of our French duos on the screen. So obviously also want to give a huge shout out to Leo, because you know he's been going ballistic all weekend watching Izzy and Nassim, Skyjump and Mumsy, and it's got to be a fantastic sensation understanding being here on site, seeing everyone come together for these moments, and knowing that that was just the first game of many still to come.
Yeah, just kind of watching him watch the Izzy clutch was absolutely insane. I felt like he felt very similar like I did, and that was just out of breath, amazed as can be. Can they keep it up though? That's going to be the biggest question here. Swizzy and Pixie come off a game one victory royale, 78 points throughout the course of that game. Lewa and Romero, they were actually tied point for point, and eventually they lost that game. 13 points, 10 for the win, 3 for the elimination, went on over the team from Havoc. So it still could be anyone's game. If you look at the leaderboard, it's as close as can be as we drop straight into game two. Chino is going to be the first one going trap. Han is going to be the one getting the elimination here over towards Elite Armory.
Hey, Sky Scroll, they're not trying to have a similar fate. They want to ensure that they're able to actually duke things out and pull up with a little bit of success success here at Elite Armory. They'll definitely be taking their time, though. AGAL, Team Falcons, both just kind of onlookers towards that last lobby. But even if the first game doesn't shake out the way you would have wanted it to go, Sky and Skrull still have ample potential in terms of turning things around at a heartbeat. So just have to wait and see how things continue to develop, because everywhere else on the map, NA maybe trying to get a little bit more presence in this early game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be needed. We had 3 of the North American Central teams go down so early in that last game. But to start this one, I feel like maybe they've turned it around. Peterbot took down Teeny, he respawned. Rapid took down Teeny, kind of keeping him on a little bit of a cycle. But our game 1 winners now find themselves over towards Chisel Cube, getting pushed by, looks like Z-Dog and Goofy. They have a good loadout to be able to fight back. It's just about if they want to this early.
Hey, I respected those Z-Dog and Goofy trying to strike while the iron's still hot. We're looking at 2 teams in the side of the top 3 trying to do exactly what Malibuca just accomplished, hoping to secure those eliminations early on. If they can claim all of Chiseled Cubes, it would just give them all the more time to keep looking for those reboot farm opportunities. But Swizzy Pixie, obviously very similar mindset. They're going to continue to lurk about and not make things easy for Goofy. Spookoon could also potentially start to thwart the game plan. Building up here, but Mini Pio immediately punished. He had no idea what he was walking into.
Yeah, literally dodged, flying out of the sky. Goofy, Z-Dog, he's like, let me go underneath. Nope, a whole nother team down there as well, as your Miro keeps the hot streak from that last game alive, taking down Malibuca, separated him from Vico. That's their 2nd elimination of this game, and you don't necessarily need to drop 10, 20 eliminations, but you need to keep yourself hyped up and ready to go.
For Leon Romero, too, you have to remember, they were one of our first 7 teams to actually break through towards the final stage. They've had the past couple of days to just pod, review, gauge what everyone else's success metric is actually looking like, and still, they were fully understanding we might be contested the entire time, especially after AGAL, Sky, and Skrull made it through. But for Pixie, Swizzy, problems still continuing to stack up here at Chisel Cubes. And Swizzy's going to be taken out, so now Pixie, he's just got to hope that he doesn't meet the fate in a similar fashion here. But Goofy, Z-Dog, they fully understand. If we can take out number 1 right now, that's going to cut the door wide open. And Swizzy, Pixie, they'll have to wait and see what happens next.
The nature of the beast that is the Fortnite Reload Championship. Chisel Cube just getting more and more active here with Mini Pio and Fukun kind of taking the bottom part, forcing everybody down below. A little bit of distraction definitely helps the case on the other side of the map. This is still Elite Armory. Sky and Skrull from AGAL trying to go up against Muzz and Sphinx. Again, Muzz and Sphinx, I think they got a top 3 in that last game, and with Muzz by himself, Sphinx has just got eliminated. He needs to buy at least 12 seconds of time.
Sky, even popping up for a moment there, trying to see whether or not he was actually going to be able to successfully cut Muzz, but it looks like Muzz will survive just long enough. But is it really a win after all? Sphinx might have just touched down, but they are just so far and away from being able to escape the clutches of the lobby, essentially, every time. That reboot signal is just going to be a honing beacon for everyone else to start aiming their sights towards looking for those freebie eliminations against a weakened player.
Seeing how they kind of bounce back from this. This was what did it, and Peterpot actually dropped up from above, distracting Goofy for a moment, and they still ended up getting those eliminations onto Swizzy and Pixie. Team from Leviathan just trying to base up, get the drop. Muzz just trying to get back in the game. Doesn't really have much for a loadout, especially when you're going up against Sky and Skrull, who pick up their 3rd elimination of the game. And this is just one thing to note. Even though they failed to make it out of their group stage, and they kind of cut it close in their survival stage, this now, when it comes to this week of action, is one of the most practiced teams that we have in this lobby.
It's just so difficult to actually find that consistency metric, and you wouldn't expect that from a team like Sky and Skrull, who scream consistency when it comes to the standard Battle Royale game mode, but here in Reload, because of how stacked a lot of these endgame lobbies tend to be, because of the fact that we're not seeing elimination or placement points actually factor in until right around that 10th, 11th zone time frame, it is so volatile trying to control that frontside low position that they are notorious for holding down. And it doesn't help when you've got teams like Shark and Teeny, Sky and Scroll also just constantly putting pressure from the high ground.
Yeah, and you can kind of see in the mini-map there, Elite Armory down low towards the bottom. That lone little gray arrow, well, that's Sphinx. You look a bit lower towards the northeast, right kind of next to that green arrow, that's Muzz. They're just so far separated as of now. There's going to be almost no chance, or at least relatively soon, for them to get back together. But near them as well is Izzy and Nosif. You can kind of see their loadout right now, really leaning heavy into the Flowberry Fizz. They do have some launch pads towards the back, so they want to make sure they dodge one of the most chaotic portions of the game, so that when they finally make it in towards the zone, it's a little bit safer than what it is right now.
But when everyone's looking up, probably one of the only positives currently is knowing that Swizzy and Pixie are already fully eliminated. So in terms of high ground teams that are going to be prioritizing that position, you're largely just looking at Shark and Teeny and whoever else might decide to throw their names into the hat. Pete and Pollo, though, definitely not off to the hot start that probably most would have expected them to have already come across, and even a little reminiscent of past tournament series, right? Where we see Pete going in, all out aggression, and then getting put down into the dirt. There's a big mental game behind that.
Yeah, especially when you even kind of add in this weekend 2 games that they played to start off their group stages. I believe 19th and 18th with a singular elimination. A very slow start before they started to look like themselves. Game 1, very, very similar here. Game 2, hopefully they can come back for it. Acorn and Bolts as well. You would think they would have a lot more momentum during their qualification process just to make it to the group stages of EWC. They weren't the most high elimination duo that we did have around. They played more towards consistency. They played more towards strategy, and I hope that they're going to pick that up here.
Just after everything that we witnessed, Bolts especially getting up to inside of that Major 2 finals here in Reload, you have to imagine that all of that fragger potential, he really starts to come alive when it matters most. And anytime you have players that seemingly get more and more locked in as competitive stakes become even crazier, I just think that they're always going to be dangerous. It's always going to be problematic because you never know when they might just go absolutely crazy with it and just run away with a big placement, big elimination round.
You're kind of seeing more and more teams on the outskirts of the map, kind of holding down those launch pads with eliminations, without eliminations. You see Pablo and Goo take that launch pad, just scouting, getting that eagle eye, seeing what teams are nearby, what players, what positions even that we might have to watch out for. Probably spotting out not too much. They're going to go ahead and reassess the situation. 5th zone as of now, and this is exactly why they're doing that. Reboots are going to turn off in that 7th zone, so they don't want to put themselves into too risky of a situation too early on.
And hey, even for Vitality's Pablo and Chino, just drawing things back towards those club championship points, Jacob, Vitality is currently sitting in 3rd place position overall. To ensure that they remain there, a big performance out of Pablo and Chino to really solidify their position and not lose a good chunk of the prize pool money that's at stake here this weekend. There's definitely tons of pressure on their shoulders, and it's a very similar fashion too for Cold and Rapid, because Twisted Minds, if they witness Cold and Rapid come up big time in this tournament series today, that could be a crazy jump up the leaderboard for the EWC standings.
Huge chance to give back just by winning a tournament. Everyone wins in that situation. Vico, Malabuka, we saw a couple struggles early on in this game going down, but they picked themselves up, dust themselves off, got right back into position. And that's the thing about the Elite Strongholds map in general, Tacos. There's so many different mountain ranges, so many different edges, so many different elevation changes that you have to be very, very cognizant of where the zone is pulling at any given time. Because if you're finding yourself without a build, getting caught off guard, the elevation changes, I kind of wish you good luck.
Vico and Malabuka, though, seemingly able to avoid a good chunk of those problems. They are rather safe in their current position, but it's all about the next move. Everyone else kind of waiting to see who these last couple of straggler teams are going to be, but it is just never easy to actually cut across and find any kind of distance. Everyone just eventually going to have to get up close and personal, but we do just have the majority of the lobby still standing, even with that 7th zone approaching, and by that point, reboots will turn off, and we'll see whether or not Pete and Pollo are going to be able to start coming online.
Yeah, and I'm just crossing my fingers. I'm looking at that mini-map right now, and I'm crossing my fingers for the entirety of the lobby that we do not go west into chiseled cubes. That elevation change will be drastic, almost a roller coaster of emotions these teams will be going into. But less than 15 seconds, reboots will turn off, and any chance to respawn back into this game goes right out the window. Kind of seeing where teams are positioned. Decent amount of space between most of them, but where the zone actually is going to be telling all the way towards the north. So Taco, a good chunk of the team's getting a max pool.
Kun and Minipio, though, could be in a slightly more favorable spot. They're not going to waste any time, though. They're going to immediately start to make their move. Sky and Scroll, 3 eliminations still on the board. So they managed to rack up just a little bit to work with here. But in comparison to a duo like Lewa and Romero, who have realistically got a very strong loadout for taking out teams that might cross their path. Pete Pollo, a little bit injured, getting very focused right now by Chino and Pablo. Pollo just narrowly escapes them, but then runs straight into where Mini Pia's focus lines are setting up, and just like that, Pete's all by himself.
Yeah, not sure how they got separated in the first place. We saw Pete trying to look over the top, cover fire, but there's just too many players in this lobby to watch them all. You're seeing him try to reconnect, make sure a chop doesn't come through. He's already inside of the zone, so that's not necessarily one of his worries about picking up those eliminations, trying to catch up to the point total, just like Sky and Scroll, 3 eliminations, 9 points up until this stage in the game so far. Definitely a good jump from what they needed. We're talking about Pete, Pollo, Cold, Rapid all going down early. They were another one of the teams that fell relatively early in that last game, and they got a huge points to make up.
But look at how isolated Shark and Teeny currently are from the rest of the lobby. They've managed to avoid practically all of the congestion. They haven't fully committed to all the way going up on elevation, but the way that they're just so tucked and hidden, Jacob, once they utilize this Flowberry Fizz and Launchpad, they're going to continue to be able to preserve most of their material, but they do need to make sure that they don't get taken out before they actually make that move.
Yeah, the position looking a little too good. Darm Demon said, hey, we'll take it. Josh Yamzo said, we'll take it as well. Zone is opening up. But you got to be careful not to go too far down. It goes right back up the side of the mountain. So if you don't have builds, if you don't have mobility, you might want to second guess positioning yourself there. Shark and Teeny looking out, Cold and Rapid as well. Just trying to get that bird's eye view, figuring out where teams are rotating to before they themselves are forced to shockwave out.
Nothing worse than seeing Muzz get flipped the moment that he tries to head towards that front side of zone. Cold and Rapid, though. Goofy, Z-Dog, other teams that are managing to continue to keep it rolling, but even on this ultimate frontside position, Goofy and Z-Dog know that they're eventually going to have to tango with some other contenders here, but Peterbot might be their best opportunity for a little bit of a refresh. He just only has himself to work with, and poor overdrive, Janae, that's just not going to be enough. You're going to run out of that so fast as a solo.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the lack of materials. 500, which might seem like a lot, but as a solo, in a reload, it definitely is not. Kanata, Victor V, Shark, Teeny, so many players using their launch pads, as Peterbot actually does find a key elimination on the con. It's only going to be him by himself, so Faded still in this one, trying to keep themselves alive as he shockwaves out, tries to reposition on the front side of the zone. Taco, 2 medkits, big pots. He has everything he needs to get up to fighting shape.
Hey, as long as he has a chance to actually utilize one of those medkits, we might be looking at a whole different ball game here. But for right now, Shark and Teeny, similar fashion to the last lobby, they're going to head straight towards the high ground. Teeny already making sure to overtake that top end layer. A good connection here is going to help them hold strong, and the RPGs too. Teeny is just causing so many issues for everybody stuck underneath.
Yeah, making sure to reconnect, fortify their position up above. Zone is pulling far, so all it takes is one team to look up and start to create some havoc. But Vico and Malabuka have their hands full in that mid layer. Looking to the head side of zone, see Sky, see Scroll. You see so many teams, but they're just trying to formulate the strategy. How do we want to play this? Crash Pad or Shockwave? They choose the first of the two, make their way to the front and reposition themselves again. But look at the distance that Shark and Teeny have built so high in the sky.
And that's the problem for Vico and Malabuka. The moment that they try to navigate towards that front side, they're immediately getting pieced up by height. Teeny, though, losing a good chunk of his HP because Z-Dog's decided he wants to try and take it for himself. The land down under no longer, headed straight for the high ground. Yasin and Salvatore going to fall. Vico now left in dire straits here. Malabuka trying to see what he can collect, but Shark and Teeny have managed to push back against Oceania.
Everybody down below is being ripped apart from their duos. We're barely into the top 15. Make it 13 as they're dropping like flies as of now. 12 teams still in the game. Peterbot being one of them. We talked about yesterday the two group stages. A slow start to their race, but they are definitely picking up the pace as of now. But he is out of builds, almost hoping for a miracle to keep himself alive, and it's not going to be granted.
Instead, all he's going to get is Shark delivering rocket after rocket from the high ground. Malabuka also trying to see if he could conceal his position just a couple seconds longer, but cold and rapid. 4 eliminations already. We know exactly what they're capable of. Now it's just time to deliver. Malabuka needs to connect the shot, gets one onto Victor B, but it's not the knock, it's not the elimination he needs. Somebody else steals it away instead, and that's going to be AGAL, Sky and Scroll.
Even Momsy getting an elimination here, but 6 here for Sky and Scroll. AGAL, a slow start to their day. 0 points in game number 1, and they are putting on a show here, just like Cold. 7 HP. We know what this man is capable of in some of the biggest moments in his career, but he's still going up against duo after duo. In fact, he's the only solo left alive.
And Sky and Scroll are not making it easy. They find Cold, and just like that, it'll be the end of the run here for Twisted Minds. But Sky, Scroll, they're not finished. They're continuing to clash. Cammy Hari might just be next, but it's the front side position. Shark and Teeny know it. That's going to be their next plan of attack. Shark's going to begin to descend. He's ready to drop down. Sky has no idea. And just like that, Shark finds his first onto Sky. Scroll, what are you going to do?
Stay out of these waters. This is Shark's territory. Now it's a 2v1. Momsy goes down. The aura is real from Team Aurora Gaming. Shark and Teeny steal game 2.
Shark and Teeny just are so cool, calm, and collected every step of the way. For a moment, it looked like Z-Dog and Goofy were going to be able to strip away that high ground advantage, but then they just lose out on the battle entirely. And Shark and Teeny, they just fully understand Elite Stronghold, that we can maintain this elevated position while everyone else is forced to burn through all of their materials underneath us because of these elevation shifts. That just makes it all too easy to finish the job.
Yep, 4 victory royales in the group stages for them. They took high ground more times than that. Game 1, they went for it. It didn't work out. Game 2, they go for it again, and they have secured the victory royale, taking out some tough competition all along the way, eventually getting that final elimination onto Momsy, shooting themselves up that leaderboard for sure.
I'm just thinking about those club championship points right now, too, for Team Aurora, because I believe that they are right around in that side of the top 10. Actually might be even in that 10th place position. And if they were to secure, say, the first place on the weekend overall, Jacob, that's 1,000 club championship points. That would be a huge game changer for Team Aurora standing. And it would ultimately mean that their prize pool money is then allotted into the millions versus the few hundred thousands.
Yeah, we also saw Romero and Leiwa make it deep into that game again. Back-to-back solid performances for them. Skyjump and Momsy staying true to their kind of journey up until this point, kind of surprising a lot of teams and continuing to put on a show for the French crowd out here. Still anyone's game, Taco.
It's a little bit of give and take right now for so many of these teams, though, Jacob. We saw Goofy and Z-Dog getting very aggressive super early on, and they continue to stay ambitious, even in that endgame, challenging Shark and Teeny, fully understanding that that could have been the difference maker between the victory royale for themselves or for somebody else. But we've got Game 3 soon to come, so make sure that you guys don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
game of the life. Better get right, champion.
Everyone is playing, you're not yet. EWC Play is your all-in-one platform to compete in fantasy, pick'em, and quests for a grand total of $300,000 in prize pool. Build your dream fantasy team in 5 different games and track your score with live results tables. Predict the winner of every game, every group stage, and every tournament. Complete daily and weekly challenges to earn boosters that help you climb the global leaderboard. Got what it takes? Join EWC Play now.
Okay, it's the end of the game now. We just gotta play it safe.
But wait, there's so much loot over there.
Do not go for it.
They probably rotated.
Player eliminated.
What was that?
Sorry, next time I'll be better.
That's okay. Wait, next time?
Player eliminated.
Okay, stop now. Which ones are...
Player eliminated.
Off.
Respawns no longer available.
Why?
Oh man, we are back at it again. EWC, you guys got to make some noise for game number 2 out there. What a phenomenal start, but I think the biggest talking point out of that game was Swizzy Pixie, man. They had that early fall, which meant everyone else in the lobby could really start to catch up.
And you know what? They had a lot to live up for. Starting a game off with a win is the way you want to enter into your tournament, but the pressure begins when that leaderboard number starts to add up and you have to continue the momentum. A lot of teams actually stepped up comparatively to their game 1 performances. One that clearly took it a little bit further was Shark and Teeny.
Dude, Shark and Teeny, we saw it back in Group A right there, just right here. They had themselves so many victory royales on the day, and what's crazy, remember, we're on match point.
Yeah.
A team just needs to hit 350 points and then get themselves a victory royale. We've seen them do that already too many times.
I mean, Zeke, are you keeping count? I think I'm at like 5 LAN wins for Shark and Teeny if you count his group stage performances. I mean, clearly they proved something that they're looking to continue that momentum into the finals lobby. I didn't expect it, given this set lobby is, you know, a couple notches above the rest. However, they are performing very well. It's looking very good. And then you even have, again, some of those other teams now starting to enter into the conversation. Sky and Scroll, a very slow start, if you will. But hey, that game 2 performance, huge end game, is going to be very nice for their overall standing.
Yeah, and remember, we're going to continue to play out the game's match point. It could end, or go as far as 15 games, could end sooner. And don't forget, we're also on Elite Stronghold, right? Eventually, we are going to look to shake up, go to Slurp Rush. There's so many factors at play here, game to game. But guess what? We got to see what else is going around right now at EWC.
Well, this is it. Game number 3 coming up. Unfortunately for the moment, you just got me. As you just saw Monster on the screen, he's going to be coming up very shortly. But how incredible were those first 2 games? So many surprises here for the finals of the Esports World Cup Fortnite Reload Championship. Shark and Teeny leading the way currently with 117 total points. Not a great start for NA. I'll talk to Monster about that when he comes up. But my goodness, Shark and Teeny, what a performance in that last game. Picking up the victory royale. Sky and Scroll getting back in the mix as well. Skyjump and Momsy making it really far into that end game as well. And it all comes down to this. The final day. When will it end? Who will take it? At the end of the day, Swizzy and Pixie, the guys just broke down. Not the greatest start to that last match from those guys. Nice to see Cold and Rapid actually making it into that end game there as well. And it needed a little bit of a solo clutch from Peterbot to get some points on the board as well after a very slow start. Mini Miner and now finally Monster D-Face here casting the next 2 games for you guys. I wanted to mention, Monster, with NA, Not really looking too hot right now. I'm looking on down the leaderboard. Josh and Iomzo, the highest place in N18, in 10th right now. What's going on?
Well, I appreciate you giving me a second to run up here. I'm slightly out of breath. I need you to give our NA teams a second as well, because they have been off to the slowest of starts. I mean, I was just on the stage with the interview. I was able to look over to my right and see Peterbot and Boyo, and they are looking pretty down and out, not gonna lie.
Really?
Their energy right now, you can just tell they are frustrated with that game 1 performance. I think game 2 was a little bit better, but Peterbot had to solo clutch.
Yeah,
Boyo, not how you want to play it out.
No, and Levin spoke about it at the beginning of the day, where it was like he wanted to see Peterbot actually stepping up to the plate. We saw at the summit, Boyo getting so many of those solo clutches. Need to see more from that duo. A lot of people would have said that is the other team to beat. Of course, one of them, Sky and Shark and Teeny, fighting up against Rapid right now. This is a big battle up here. And unfortunately here, Shark does go down for them. So Rapid and Cold win out this fight. Nicer game from them, that last one. They actually made it into that end game. Much more of a solid performance. And I think we expect big things based on their group's domination.
Yeah, that last game was a full circle moment as well, because in game 1, it was Muzz and Sphinx that took them down, but they repaid them back in that end game there. So back and forth action happening. Ultimately, though, you can see Teeny and Shark's gameplay continuing to just be a sound, almost foolproof strategy, even here. Not opting in to take a fight unnecessarily unless they have the advantage, that SMG not being the best to engage with at range. But he's just popping a few times, just let him know, hey, I'm here, you go that way, I got this.
Yeah, not a problem there. And the thing about Shark and Teeny is, even if one of them does go down early, they have that ability just to recover their game really, really effectively. Liwa Romero, what a start that these guys have, particularly in that very first game. Expecting big things from them. What a performance in groups. Unfortunately for them here, they are going to go down. But that's a team that have shown they can win as well. So, again, match point format. If you don't know how it works, 350 points you have to reach, and then the very next game you can win, or have to win, and then the tournament will end. So I think it almost makes it important for the teams that maybe you don't expect to win the whole thing to actually have a strong start as well. Because if you're one of the teams that maybe you'd be happy with the top 10, you've got to have a good start, because you don't know where the tournament's going to end. You can't grow into the tournament like we've seen some other teams doing. So getting a strong start is super important here.
Yeah, I think Cold and Rapid kind of labeled it best. We already knew that they were a team that can play very aggressively to earn their way to the 350-point range. However, playing for a win is not typical in their play style, going for high ground. But what they had mentioned was they're going to stick to their normal stuff, stay consistent, play well, then go all in for high ground. We're seeing a much different kind of approach here, though. For Shark and Team, it's almost like, hey, we want to win everything, which I think is really important, too, because it almost makes it feel demoralizing to the rest of the lobby, because as you know, clearly, winning is going to give you the most points anyways, just in general, right? So there's no reason to kind of beat around the opportunity. You kind of just want to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, if I was one of the players in the lobby, I'd be sick and tired of seeing these guys' faces and the big screens at the back there. They keep winning games non-stop.
Oh, look at how close this was right here. So Kanata just rebooted in. Victor V was up top, but Shark comes, catches Kanata off the fresh reboot. That could have went absolutely south for Victor and Kanata, who earned 0 points game number 1, 30 in the last round. So sort of closing the gap, but nearly getting left behind.
Again, they need to wake up. They need to pick things up here. For the beginning, as you set to see the leaderboard on the right-hand side of the screen, lots of teams that still need to have a bit more of a comeback in this game. Bolts and Acorn there, Pollo Peterbot, Salvatore Yassin, Pablo Chino, Victor V, Canada, the bottom 5 currently. It's not down and out yet, of course, but you want to make the most of all the games that you can here. Peterbot and Pollo. Want to see them in this end game, want to see them as a duo as well. They're a team that we know can win. We saw it in the groups, and the sort of team that can just run away with it. But remember, even in the groups, it took them a little while to get going. They won that last game of Elite Stronghold, then they went into Slurp Rush, won the first game of that, and then they finally got into second, third, and fourth gear as they got towards the midpoint of the tournament. We might only have 7, 8 games today, so you can't take that long.
Yeah, it's a great observation. Peterbot and Boyo definitely performed much, much better on the next map. They didn't actually start the tournament hot off either during their group stage. They had, in fact, a fairly bad performance for the first 2 or 3 games, sort of figuring it out towards the later half of the Elite Stronghold map, but it was the Slurp Rush that they really began to take off. Now, let's be honest though, so did Shark and Teeny. That was their back half of the tournament. In fact, they outpaced them by a fair amount. Sky and Scroll have a lot to prove though. They were sent down to that survival stage, really just barely inching their way out. It was quite the nail biter at the end though. Sky and Scroll did in fact turn up all the way. Look at this though, Shark and Teeny versus Kanata and Victor V. This is a big fight here. It's always a problem when it's a 2-on-2 because you can see yourself potentially sent back to the lobby permanently. Victor, oh, a huge shot from Kanata. Okay, both sides exchange here. It's Shark who gets the siphon though. That's gonna be a changer for this entire engagement. Had it been the other way, this probably wouldn't have actually been a good thing for Teeny to push, but Teeny's feeling confident. He pushes out. Victor gets out of there. That could have gone south.
Yeah, definitely could have. It's the last team you want to be fighting here early game, particularly when you're in the bottom half of the leaderboard like Victor and Kanada are. Important to see what that team can do. We saw some really nice solo clutching from Victor V the other day, so I want to see that again. I want to see that reflected here in the finals because it is just that different level of pressure.
And I think it's a newfound confidence as well.
Yep.
You need to have those moments. Players like Victor V and Kanata need those clutch moments on LAN just to change their mentality, just to prove to themselves, hey, what we're doing over on NA online in those types of lobbies is working, but translating it into in-person is definitely a whole different skill set. We've seen a whole newfound confidence even from players like Faded and Khan.
Yep.
They have had a relatively great overall consistent week so far. Here today, already at 0 though, not quite having the fast start, and you know, it is a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought we would see more teams doing that kind of just drop immediately, take that initial whatever bus path it is, fight, but it's not exactly going that way.
Well, that's the thing, it's finals, you know, and this is what I was saying at the beginning of the show when we were sort of outside, that I feel like the pace of the lobby will play differently. We saw a lot of eliminations early game, we saw lots of action. But this is a whole new level of risk, and like I mentioned earlier, you need to have a good start. And if you're taking those risks early on, you're not setting yourself up to even have a good performance, let alone actually win the whole thing. Because yeah, maybe Shark and Teeny run away with it now. They win in game 7. If you had a slow start, it's an absolute disaster.
Big full elimination for Goofy and Z-Dog. OCE was in 5th place coming into this one. They were holding kind of strong and steady, but they are going to be the first team to get fully eliminated now. Goofy and Z-Dog, the singular representation here on the finals lobby. Almost had the Oakley Spooks arrival, survival, call it what you will. They played very well. They came so close, but now it's all up to Goofy and Z-Dog. This is the best we've ever seen, actually, OCE off as far as a start to a tournament. I don't think they've ever held 5th place this kind of early, so you really got to respect their ability to perform right now.
Unfortunately, they're out of this game, so everyone else is going to be catching up, overtaking. So that's really where they get to test their mettle, test the wits about them, see what they've got, whilst they're watching on from the sidelines. Peterbot and Poya, though, set in a nice position right here. Top-tier trading towards the north side of the zone right here. The only POI, at least half of it, is going to be in this next zone, as they're just looking to wreak havoc with that Mammoth. We saw Peterbot doing it so much in the group that he was playing in, of course, group number 1. And with that mythic shotgun as well, that is one of those shotguns that you can just get right in the face. And it's so, so good from close range. So he's almost got the perfect loadout right there, especially for his playstyle. I mean, Romero and Liwa. Lots of expectations based on how well they did in the actual groups. But surely coming into the event, the pressure must have been off. So it's nice to see them stepping up to the plate here.
Yeah, I think if anything, they performed so well, they might have actually shook all the nerves off.
Yeah.
Because they have continued to remain consistent. Mini Pio also, talk about pressure for all of these teams here. Salvatore and Yasin has Middle Eastern obviously on their back. You have the Japan region on Mini Pollo's kind of side there. So really fun to see Fukun and Mini Pio continue to kind of step up here. So far, so good. The zone now pulling far towards the east here, and it's going to continue to go that way. Let's see how things are looking.
There's a lot more teams playing Storm than we saw in that previous game, particularly. Seems like teams are wanting to have a solid start, stay inside of the zone, not take too many risks. But now we're sort of getting a bit more risky. Lovely from Romero and Liwa, showing that chemistry right there. They're closing in on Yasin as well. They're going to take this duo out if they can. as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Yacine is inside of the box. Salvatore and Yacine are out. That's Liwa and Romero that do it. And for a team that had such a good qualification into this final, unfortunately, it's not been the dream start to finals that they could have wanted.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. You know, we're just talking about teams playing the Storm. Yeah, you play the Storm because it's safe, because normally you don't get into these types of all-in clashes like you just saw there. But when you get 3-2-1 and you're kind of greeting on the HP pool, right? You're running around all weekend like that.
Yeah.
That can be a big problem, as you can see right there. Same thing, Lua might get a taste of his own medicine now. Chino and Pablo Wingu. Fortunately for Lua, didn't have Mammoth, but there's another team down there. It's Momsy and Skyjump. They have been playing so aggressively. It has been working out very well. Romero somehow manages to escape the grips of that duo there, so he'll be alive. His teammate will be able to get in here. Only 30 seconds remaining, but obviously it's enough for Lua to get back in the game.
Yep, more than happy with that. For that team, Momsy Skyjump, though, they're a team that have the French fans on their side. Really happy to see actually both of our French teams qualifying through into the finals. Lots of fans for both of these teams, and whenever they're on the screen, whenever they're picking up on a limb, there's always that hype, there's always that energy that you can feel in the crowd right here. There goes Dom, though. Down and out. Dimash just have to solo clutch for now. As reboots are about to end, that's a horrible time for Dom to go down. Shark and Teeny are going to be licking their lips at all of this loot. Unfortunately for them, the zone does pull quite far, so they're not able just to sit on that loot and enjoy it and reinvest a lot of those materials that they could build up into a massive base. But again, I like this position from them. I like where they're at. They're not on the same side of zone as the majority of everyone else. Shows they have brains as well as skill.
Yeah, they have an incredible setup there. A huge metal ramp just to look over, not even protecting their backside because the way the zone played out, and then they go into that fight and end up obviously being successful with it. That's a great way to kind of start the end game to your tournament. Oh, Darm did get to just slip back into the game though there, so he's not completely out. I was curious to see if the timer was going to be enough, so he does manage to get back into the game, rebooted. Shark and Teeny used their extra shockwaves, though, to make it on over now. And they're already starting to position up for some eyes in the sky here. The first, they're going to have to get through Peterbot and Boya, who's holding the opposite side. Sky and Scroll on the other side. How are they faring here? Plenty of duels all around them, but it's looking pretty decent.
Big moments here for Sky and Scroll. We've talked about it all week. AGAL watching on. The club championship at stake. Huge, huge moments for them. And Shark and Teeny, could they be setting up for another victory royale right here? You cannot put it past them. They're the sort of team that can take this tournament and have an early dinner because they're just that good. But who's going to play spoiler? Which is going to be the team that's really going to take the whole event and really surprise us? There's always one. Swizzy and Pixie, great start to the day. Unfortunately, the second game was an absolute disaster. Nice to see them in this end game, though. Still no placement points, only one elimination point for this team. As Khan looking to try and continue a lot of that momentum they got as well from yesterday. Taking down Ionzo, taking down Josh as well, so that's that duo completely out.
Big setback for NA's Elite Ionzo and Josh there as they get eliminated just under Swizzy and Pixie's sights there. The pressure was too much to deal with. Shark and Teeny have effectively taken the high ground. Muzz is playing second height off to the side there. Salvatore, Yasin, Goofy Z-Dog, Josh Ionzo, the first three duos now out of the tournament here. Placement points will start being rewarded here after the next team starts to fall now. So this is the critical part of the endgame. Mini PO, RPG into a catch, almost gets full box there by Vico. Gotta love that play. Legendary RPG with 8 rockets is nothing to scoff at. That is quite the loadout.
That is definitely, and it's a nice opportunity for them just to clear out a lot of those low ground layers. We've seen these guys playing in this sort of section of the lobby as well. They can play high, they can take high. Vico down, though, there in the feed to none other than Dimash, and Malabuka's in trouble as well, trying to escape, only 49 HP, having to invest a lot of those materials to try and stay alive. Tries to find an opportunity to pop the big pop, but not going to get one for the time being. Now has the Storm to deal with as well. It's not just other players, it's the Storm, and now he's dwindling in terms of that white HP as well. Plenty of bills for Malabuka to actually make his way into the zone, but he needs to try and find some of that Cypher. No white HP effectively on Malabuka. Just needs to try and find one big shot, one opportunity to stay in this game, because remember, no placement points, no points at all for that team yet.
Yeah, definitely. The mechs, though, on Malabuka to move right there. definitely impressive to say the least. Meanwhile, Romero is trying to stay alive here and earn as much more that he can by himself. Izzy and Nosif, though. Francis on their back, a big pop from the crowd as they see their favorites going for height. The Izzy buff is real. Meanwhile, Sky and Scroll, AGAL, a lot riding on the line here. Millions of dollars separate them on the club championship leaderboard. This can go any way. Sky Scroll, though, still 0 elims, nothing earned just yet. Finally, 16 positioning points starting to come in here. Peterbot, Pollo, what's the loadout looking like? Still plenty to work with. Good amount of mats. They're at second layer as well. They're thinking about it.
And crucially here, they're together as a duo in the end game, hoping that they can keep that going throughout the rest of this game as well. Lots of chance for Izzy and Nosif in the crowd right here. Peterbot gets surprised, left his wall open for a little bit too long right there, as Malabuka is the one that goes down there in the feed as well. So Vico Malabuka, I don't think got any points out of that game. Shark and Tini, though, had to get relegated down towards that low ground. Izzy and Nosif took it off them, but these are the guys that can really make those high ground plays at the most efficient times. They're waiting in the wings. They're waiting for their opportunity to pounce. And for Shark and Tini, they know when to do it.
Yeah, definitely, but you can't make any mistakes now. You see, you're gonna get punished if you drop the ball here and now. Team still alive. Shark, Tini, Skyjump, Mumsy, Izzy and Nosif on high ground. Swizzy and Pixie are still in this game too, so the points are adding up here. Sky and Scroll working their way through the layers now. Bolts is gonna fall to Pablo Wingu there. Sky and Scroll, still no eliminations here this late in the game. Pollo takes down Pixie. That's a big elim as well. Now, big scrappy fight though. Sky gets caught there by Acorn, caught in between the crossfire. Cold and Rapid 2 are at 4 eliminations now.
Cold and Rapid need a huge game. That's how it's done. Catching Sky off guard right there on the low ground. Cold and Rapid, they're looking to prove that they can win games, to silence the doubters and to keep plowing through this lobby. Peterbot drops in the box as well, trying to find a shot. Doesn't quite get the elimination. Still full HP though, gets back towards Pollo, who does actually pick up Fukun, and now these guys are keeping on going.
That's the biggest and most important elimination they could have gotten. That's the refresh that Peterbot and Pollo needed to get back in the game, but now you have a problem. The problem is Shark and Tini are comfortable. Skyjump and Mumsy also have their refresher, and Peterbot and Pollo didn't get enough material from that, so they're gonna be likely forced into the low ground. Pollo kind of leading the charge here. Peterbot playing Fragger right now. Izzy and Nosif playing the you cannot take my high ground strategy. Victor V cannot in the low ground. Rapids down to a single shot. Victor goes in for it. A huge elimination now for Victor and Kanata. This is going to end up being a clash now for Momsy. Skyjump into Peterbot and Pollo.
It's Peterbot and Pollo trying to play those mid-ground layers as well, trying to get as many of those elims as possible, make the most of this game. Shark and Tini still in this lobby as well, a little bit timid compared to everyone else. And Shark takes down Peterbot. 2 Titans going head-to-head, and Shark comes out on top right there. They just can't get that refresh. Material starting to dwindle. Players coming on down. Momsy crashing into the top of the box of Tini and Shark. But look who's still up on high. It is Izzy. It is Nosif. They're miles above the rest of the lobby, not even giving Tini and Shark an opportunity to look up. But Shark and Tini, they're looking. They're assessing. They're looking to see what they can do next. They're dropping on down, tumbling on through. Huge shot right there. Nosif goes down, though. Izzy has to stay alive.
This is crazy. Shark is still in it, though. He ends up falling. It's up to Tini. Tini's on the siphon, but it's not going to be enough. Izzy is even surprised himself. He couldn't believe he managed to stay alive there. In the end, what a fight.
What a fight, and what a well-played height play from these guys. They played it so much higher up than the rest of the lobby. Nobody else had launch pads at that stage of the game. Nobody else could have the time to actually overdrive grenade up with the Fizz. And the crowd are incredibly happy about that one. We've seen them in these end games. We haven't seen them win yet today. We've seen that they can overall. We've seen that Izzy has what it takes. He didn't have to do much in that end game. He was just healing off, which was a nice strategy. Nosif went down, trying to cause chaos, and Izzy closed it out.
I gotta say, Shark and Tini refused to go down. They were just trying to inch their way across, literally baiting out Izzy, and Nosif said, hey, we know you're gonna run out of material soon. Come down here, take this fight. and in the end, they actually win the clash, even with the high ground team starting to run out of material there. It could have really gone either way. Peterbot, unfortunately, does fall there a little bit early, and Victor V and Kanata could have had that low ground wind as well. But either way, that's a huge jump up, even for Kanata and Victor V. They started that game with 30 points. Yeah. You want these end games. If you're Peterbot, you also need these end games too.
Yeah, you can see that momentum as well. It's just even about the confidence, the momentum mentally as well. As we take a look at some of the highlights from that game, what I really liked and what I think is really impressive here from Teeny and Shark in particular is that they didn't necessarily force the height. You see Izzy actually shockwave or overdrive all the way over to that POI. No doubt he was looking for some white heels at some point there. But Shark and Teeny, they understand they don't need to win every single game. They don't need to risk playing high every single game. They saw that Izzy and Nosif playing it so high up. And these guys just want to get to 350 points and get that win at that point.
It's kind of an interesting strategy. You see that Izzy and Nosif just showed us that if you get high ground early, but you secure yourself in such a way that you go for ultimate height like that, you can actually just walk away with a full free end game if no one launch pads up. So that was very interesting overall. Love the reactions that we're getting right now. Crowds on their feet. People are just cheering for what's going on here for Nosif, of course, and Izzy there. Still excited, still kind of living off of the French teams once again continuing to perform here. What is it? What is it about when it's hosted on your home territory? Yeah. You know, something just clicks.
Yeah, it's great. And I want to hear from the winners myself. The fans do, the crowd do. So it's Izzy and Nosif standing by with Zeke and Luton.
Guys, first off, EWC, make some noise!
Oh my gosh, we were going crazy. Izzy, Nosif, how does it feel in this moment to get a victory royale?
Ça fait quoi de recevoir d'avoir une victoire aussitôt dans la grande finale aujourd'hui?
Bah franchement, ça nous met bien dans le classement, plus que motivé, et puis bah on est content, voilà.
We just stay focused, we are more than motivated, and of course, it put us so up on the ranking, so it just motivates us more and more. It's a good way to start.
How does it feel like in that moment when you get that win and you can just hear the crowd, all the French fans going crazy? Are you using that as fuel, as motivation?
Toujours un peu la même chose, c'est quoi le ressenti? Parce que quand tu gagnes une game d'habitude aussi importante, ça crée quelque chose, mais le fait d'entendre que l'intégralité du public est avec vous, c'est quoi comme comment tu le vis à ce moment-là?
Bah franchement ça fait plaisir, hein. Je suis content quoi.
But I mean, I'm really happy about it. It makes me feel really good, but still focus.
How do you stay focused in this? Because man, I can't lie to you. The lights are bright, the crowd is loud. There's so many incredible other duos you're fighting against, but you guys seem so unaffected. You're so locked in.
Comment est-ce que vous arrivez à rester aussi locked in, à rester aussi focus alors qu'il y a les lights, il y a la stage, il y a les gens, et puis surtout, il y a 19 duos contre vous, c'est pas n'importe qui.
Bah on a un objectif et on garde la tête haute et puis on essaie de jouer le mieux possible comme on... Voilà.
Every game, we are like one objective is make the best game we can. We just keep it like, we keep our confidence for us. We stay straight. We don't care who is in front of us. We just try to play our best games each game.
And now, finally, what would you both say to the fans? Because, I mean, you can see there's a group literally just right here that's going crazy for you. You've got all these fans out here that are going crazy for you. What would you each say to them?
Bah, merci d'être là et continuez à nous encourager, hein.
They say thank you for being there and continue to cheer for us. Do you think, guys, you can do it? Vous pensez que vous pouvez y arriver?
Vous pensez que vous pouvez y arriver?
Tu penses que tu peux y arriver?
Bah oui.
I ask him, you think you can do it? And he's like, bah yes, I think so.
I love that. Well, one more time, EWC, make some noise for Izzy and Nosif!
Du bruit pour la team Arcade. Good luck, guys, on the next games.
Hello, everyone. We've got Frantic here, a legend of the scene. Frantic, first and foremost, you've been to events before. You've been, obviously in the stands, a spectator. You've been on the stage yourself before, too. Give me a little read on, kind of how the vibes here are at EWC.
I mean, the atmosphere here is crazy. It's super fun to be here. I love seeing everyone compete and everyone cheer on their favorite teams.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to talk about favorite teams? You know, listen, we know that you've got a favorite. You know, Cold, listen, I need Coach Fran here to help out Cold and Rapid. What have you been seeing so far that they need to improve on, or what do you think they need to keep doing?
I mean, we're having a little bit of a slow start right now, but I'm not worried at all. I think they have great chemistry, as we saw in Group B. They played amazing, super consistent. Cold's the best fragger, so as soon as he gets warmed up, I have no worries about it.
Okay, love that. And listen, Cold is always super stoic. We can never get a read on that guy. But surely you've got a read on him, right? You see him behind the scenes and everything like that. Leading up to an event like this, what's Cold kind of like? What's the preparation look like?
I would say he's still a little bit stoic, but a little bit more energy than you guys maybe see on stage. But he's passionate for sure. He's very competitive.
Okay, good to hear. Well, Fran, listen, I want to go ahead and give you the floor. Obviously, you have a ton of supporters at home. You've got some friends watching as well, like Fax. Go ahead, give a shout out to anybody that you want.
Yeah, just want to say shout out Fax City. Maybe one day you'll make it on the broadcast. I did it before you, but other than that, yeah, Team Cold, he's the best to ever do it, and I'm super happy to be here and watch.
Frantic, rooting for Twisted Minds. I'm rooting for Twisted Minds. Good luck, guys.
The human body was built to move. Not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you. Gamers, hybrid workers, artists. Backing your every move.
He thinks he can come in here and play my game. He knows nothing. Let's go!
Tyler 1, you're done.
Raw energy. Blow the house down.
The French buff is definitely hitting here in match point finals as Easy and Nosif come out with the Victory Royale. But I mean, Aurora has been so consistent now. I can't wait to see what they're going to be at when we look at the overall. Levin, Kelly, Vivid, the 7WG here back with you guys. For the longest time during that match, we were talking about how contested was that high ground, Vivid. At the end of the day, it ended up being Easy and Nosif getting the high ground and getting that Victory Royale.
Yeah, it was super kind of hard, actually, that game. I feel like to keep track of everything that was kind of going on. Obviously, we were watching the battle for the higher ground. We saw some fights going on in the low ground. And then amongst all of the chaos, we finally tune over to a POV, and I'm like, wait, Shark and TD are alive still in this game? I mean, oh my gosh, those guys just cannot be stopped right now. They're so consistent.
What can I say, man? Look, we're about 3 games in. They're almost halfway the ways to match point.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, look, we all want to see a fun contest, a fun competition with a bunch of people in it. But if they keep playing like this, they're going to have a couple games to try and, hit the match point win at this rate. So someone's got to start to pick up the pace and get to their level here.
You say fun game, fun contest. Well, the most fun for me that I had was seeing all the NA teams make it into the very end right there. The first 2 games had a little bit of a rough start for them, but we had the likes of Cold, we had the likes of Peterbot and Pollo, but of course it did come down to the 2 EU teams in the final moments there. But Pollo even here as a solo clutch. We had Kanata and Victor V make it into the end. Finally, our NA team starting to stand up, but they're gonna have to do a lot more if they're gonna be competing against their EU counterparts.
Especially when we're looking at what Falcons has been able to do so far today. We finally got a bit of a bounce back from there, 11 from Falcons, with everything going on with the club championship. And actually going back to what you were saying in regards to them being able to just pass the halfway mark of that match point threshold for Shark and Tini. I did get a chance to talk to them earlier in the day. They said 9 games. So if they continue to perform like this, I think they're going to just blow that out of the water.
I believe them. I mean, it's funny because you see the conversation around them not being too reactive or whatever. Honestly, at this point, I think for them it's just easy. There's always, it doesn't even feel as rewarding because they're just doing what they have done all year long in Reload.
All right, so Shark and Tini currently have 188 points, which if I'm not mistaken is halfway to 350, and with a Victory Royale right there. Are we about to get a 6-game match point? That can't be right. That's not going to happen. Obviously, people are going to be standing up to Shark and Tini, but to see them already be this close to 350 points, that is absolutely insane.
Looking at the 2 teams just behind them, perfect story for the Paris crowd. Skyjump, Mumsy, Izzy, Nosif. Both those French duos just putting on a show for us here, Viv. It's look, guys. After that Izzy and Nosif win, I looked straight at Vivid. I was like, are we gonna get some, you know, more reactions from you here in the crowd soon?
Another jersey coming?
Listen, I would love to kind of do some more antics, but Izzy and Nosif, they got to work their way up to first place, and then maybe we'll get me a little bit excited. To get me even more excited would be NA showing up in this top 10. I mean, Cold and Rappin are sneaking up there, but outside of them, man, look at all these NA teams on the second page, Acorn and Bolt, all the way at the bottom. I don't know if we've ever seen that before. I mean, Peterbot and Pollo expected to be going head-to-head with Shark and Teeny. Nowhere to be seen. I mean, Muzz and Sphinx, they started the first game a little bit well, but they're still doing bad. And then Josh and Yumzo also on the second page.
I think that goes to speak on just how maybe underprepared teams were going from the Major 2 finals into the Reload Elite Series. What a switch up to go from Battle Royale to the Reload. And I think that a lot of our top teams like Acorn and Bolts, Peterbot and Pollo, and even some EU teams in other regions as well, just haven't been able to transition into that, not Battle Royale, but Reload mode. And I think having these non-set or these set lobbies that they're not used to is also throwing people for a loop.